2022 BMW i4 M50 review and test drive. Believe it or not, BMW has long been in the EV electric vehicle movement, with the i3 EV introduced a decade ago. Since the conception of the i3, a lot has changed, and BMW has repositioned itself to be a serious contender in the race to bring the masses new performance luxury E-verses that look and feel the part of current ICE internal combustion engine vehicles. In comes the new BMW i4. A vehicle that is essentially an electric version of the current 4 Series Gran Coupe ICE vehicle. The new 2022 BMW i4 is hard for most to tell that it's an EV in fact. If you don't pay close attention to the subtle differences, such as the unique, closed, grille and lack of exhaust pipes out the back, you can easily be tricked into thinking that a new i4 is just a new 4 Series Gran Coupe. Which is a decent vehicle that I enjoyed reviewing a few months ago. Performance and driving character. The new BMW i4 comes in 2 trim levels. The base i4 eDrive 40 touts a single motor for a rear-wheel drive setup with 335 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque that gets a range of about 301 miles. That base model can hit 60 miles per hour in about 5.5 seconds. Moving to my test vehicle's i4 M50 top trim level, you get 2 electric motors for an all-wheel drive setup that gets 536 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque, which is available at its full capacity for up to 10 seconds while the vehicle is in its Sport Boost drive mode. Otherwise, the BMW i4 M50 has a steady output of 469 horsepower and the same 586 pound-feet of torque in other non-sport drive modes. Put the vehicle into Sport Boost and enable launch mode and you will expect to hit 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds. Or less is claimed in other independent tests. If you're taking note, that is just as fast, or faster, than the new BMW M3 with a 0-60 miles per hour time of 3.7 seconds. Either way you slice it, the BMW i4 M50 is fast. And enabling launch mode while holding the brake pedal, the electric motors purposely pulsate the vehicle to shake it, much like how most ICE vehicles do when performing a launch. BMW, you have my attention. While BMW decided to utilize the look of the 4 Series Gran Coupe, the i4 is actually a different beast that utilizes a different architecture, from its adaptive damper suspension setup with auto-leveling air springs in the rear to a unique setup to fit the 81.4 kWh battery pack low in the floor. That packaging of the battery is an oddity because BMW retained most of the interior setup that you find in the new 4 Series Gran Coupe, which incorporates a drive shaft tunnel bump in the rear seating floor, which isn't necessary for an electric vehicle because there's no physical connection. Drive shaft between the front and rear axles is powered by their own electric motor in the all-wheel drive i4 M50 trim. Driving the new BMW i4 M50 is a rewarding endeavor, which I didn't expect out of a new EV. However, BMW installs a driving passion in their vehicles that you must experience to understand. Even in the new i4 EV, while the i4 M50 is quite heavy, tipping the scale at 5.018 pounds, that's 1.178 pounds more than the new BMW M3 xDrive competition, it does a magical act of hiding that extra heft through its compliant and adaptive suspension system. And my test vehicle's optional larger 20-inch wheels, 255/35 front and 285/35 rear. Having those larger 20-inch wheels over the standard 19-inch wheels have a negative effect on the range, where my test vehicle gets a total range of 227 miles versus the i4 M50 with standard 19-inch wheels gets 271 miles of estimated range. The computer of the i4 M50 recognizes the wheel and tire size and adjusts the range accordingly, but I found my test vehicle estimated as much as 240 miles for my total range, and I was on a path to getting about 235 miles of range if I were to run the battery down past the 5% state of charge. The regenerative braking can be a little inconsistent at times, but you tend to learn how much pressure to give the brakes for a smoother stop. Reposted from source automotiveaddicts.com.